so they may or may not care. So set your mind in advance for that also, okay? Setting your mind in advance helps you to deal with the situation a lot better than if you just go there and it kind of crept up on you and you're like, man, can you stop doing that? No. Right? We have to be prepared for those situations. Okay? All right. Okay. So, start controlling your anger. And part of that is changing your concept of anger. Okay? Changing your concept of anger. Okay? By changing your concept of anger, you can change the way you behave and act when you are angry. And part of that is looking at the misconceptions of anger. Okay? Common misconceptions. Anger is an excuse to become physically or verbally aggressive. Once again, it's not. Okay? No matter what you thought before, because before you may be used to dealing with a certain situation in those 3 ways we talked about: withdrawal, displacement, or attack, whether physically or verbally. But we need to change that concept in order to better deal with the situations. So the second misconception is anger is a reason to withdraw from those you care about. It's not. And like I said, we're getting to the part where we're going to deal with it effectively, how to separate ourselves from the situation. Anger is a reason to hurt yourself. That's not self-respect. If when you think about it, that's not self-respect. And hurting yourself can also become in the form of, now that you know what anger does to your body, right? We should be striving to take steps to change that, right? Because in the long run, I didn't mean to do that. In the long run, it can physically harm ourselves, okay? Anger is a reason to get even. Why do I keep doing that? Okay, anger is a reason to get even, and it's not, okay? Anger simply tells you that something is being said or done that you don't agree with, right? That's all it's telling you, and it doesn't mean anything else but that. Okay? All right. So, to control your anger, you must first realize that anger is your internal cue that there is a problem you need to solve with self-control. Okay? I believe it was last week when we talked about the emotions and how to control them. Figure out the situation and deal with it. Okay? Figure out the situation and deal with it. And deal with it appropriately. Okay? Alright? So stop. Okay? S-T-O-P. Stop, think, options, proceed. Right? Stop. Take a deep breath. Count to 30. Count to 40. Whatever works for you. Okay? Whatever works for you. And consider what the consequences could be if you decide to react in an inappropriate way. Okay? So if your anger style is to attack, you need to be extremely careful of that. Okay? Because once again, it might seem instantaneously, you know, you're ready to karate chop. Right? So you need to seriously be considerate. And like I said, I talked about it a couple classes ago, I think, that stopping doesn't mean, okay, if someone cuts you off, if somebody cuts you off on the road, you need to stop right there in the middle of traffic and say, okay, what am I thinking and feeling? Okay.
That might incite a lot of other angry
That might incite a lot of other angry people. Right. And on top of that, you're probably doing something illegal. So we don't want to get to that point. Okay? All right. So here are some examples, and I talk about hot thoughts and cool thoughts a lot. Here's some example.
Oh, the scale. I was like, oh.
Yeah. No, I'm not sloppy.
I was like,
okay. Hot thoughts. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. This ain't over. So, oh, she wants to do that to me today. Watch what I do to her. Okay? Second one. Somebody needs to slap him. Somebody needs to slap him. And, I mean, I admit it, that's been in my mind in the past, in the way, way past. At one point, somebody needs to get him, or something like that. That's a hot thought. That's fueling and justifying your reason to be angry. Okay? Now, the point is to change those hot thoughts. Once you recognize that you're getting into that hot zone, right? That hot zone, change it. Okay? Replace it with cool thoughts. If you're having an argument, okay, I can agree to disagree. I think this situation, the first one, occurs to me a lot when someone has a different point of view and you have a different point of view, and it's like two people trying to convince people, okay, no, you're wrong, 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 right? And then somebody starts getting angry. Okay? Man, I told you was wrong, right? A cool thought to change that is sometimes, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later, how that plays into humility. Sometimes you just got to let it go. Okay, I can agree to disagree. That's a cool thought. Okay, you believe that? I believe this. Simple, right? Diffuses any situation like that. Okay? Second one, just as long as I keep my cool, I'm in control. I know someone who was telling me yesterday who they have to deal with people who get angry a lot. Every single day someone gets angry at that person because they have a government mandated job, right? And sometimes we get angry. So, for example, I seen this show where they had, what do they call it? Meter maid or something like that? I don't know.
I know what show.
You know what show I'm talking about? And they probably have one of the hardest jobs in the world because somebody's getting angry at them one way or another. Okay, because they had to put a ticket on somebody's car, they were parked illegally, or something like that, right? This can help, just as long as I keep my cool. So someone could be screaming in your face, just as long as I keep my cool, because the thing you don't want to do is to escalate the situation, okay? Because once again, now we're living in a world that not everybody practices a peaceful solution, and you don't know what you're getting into if you escalate the situation. So you really have to consider that, okay? Just as long as I keep my cool, okay? Excuse me. And the last one, I'm not going to make this a big deal. I'm not going to make this a big deal. Someone's arguing to you about whether or not this screen is red or blue. I mean, I know that's outlandish, but I mean, whatever, okay? Something insignificant like that, make the decision. I'm not going to get angry about this. This is stupid, right? This is stupid to get angry about. And then we take it back to, I can agree to disagree, okay? All right, so those are some examples of hot thoughts and cool thoughts. And furthermore, cool thoughts, just for your remembrance, cool thoughts will help you to separate your anger long enough so that you can identify your primary feelings. And that's what we want to do, identify those primary feelings so that way we can what? Deal with it, right? Okay. All right. So now here's the part where we learn how to deal. Okay? Ways to deal. The first one, deal with it. Speak in a respectful tone of voice. So what does that mean? What does that mean, speaking in, what are some examples of speaking or not speaking in a respectful tone of voice?
Who do you think you're talking to, Tina?
That's an example. Bravo. Okay. Speaking in a respectful tone of voice means not yelling, not shouting, okay? Because that'll only escalate the situation, right? Have you ever, I want to bring your attention to, have you ever seen two people, whether it's two children or two adults or two teenagers, trying to have a screaming match with one another? Can you hear anything they're saying? Right? I'll give you an example. Who's ever heard of Bill O'Reilly? Yeah? And he's known for some pretty offensive things sometimes. Okay, so he was actually on The View. I don't know if anybody's seen that. He was actually on The View, And he had said something offensive about Muslims that the cast took offense to. Okay? So people trying to, because everybody was trying to get their point across, all you hear is da 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 da. And I'm like, what is anybody saying? I don't understand what anybody's saying right now. Who's making a point? Who's not? Is Bill O'Reilly making a point, or are they? Right? It looks pretty ridiculous. Okay, so shouting and yelling, I mean, you're not going to get your point across. I'm pretty sure the person who you're trying to get your point across to is probably not even hearing anything you're saying because they're too busy yelling at you. Okay? Especially if they're not practicing self-control. Okay? And furthermore, we also know that speaking a respectful tone of voice also includes not cursing, right? Not verbally abusing. Anything that could possibly escalate the situation. Okay? Okay. Alright, so the next thing. Use I language to communicate your feelings. And once again, we're going to get more into this next week. But use I language to communicate your feelings. So I'll give you an example. Jessica, you made me angry. Why'd you do that? I mean, why?
Sorry that I am making you feel this way. But really, that is not what I was trying to communicate.
Right, exactly. Hey, great job, right? You want to use I language because you is accusatory, okay? And just like how we learned that, I mean, nobody really makes you angry. You make a choice. So use I language, okay? Say, communicate your feelings in a peaceful way. Like how you said, okay, I'm sorry you feel like that. I mean, if you've ever worked in customer service, you hear that a lot, right?
What can I do to help you?
What can I do to help you diffuse this situation? You know,
I was a telemarketer.
You were? I have to deal with AT&T, and they test my self-control every time I call them.
It's really hard on the other side, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Because there's certain stuff you have to say, so people get angry. It's just like, I'm sorry, it's what they told me to tell you.
But I mean, really, can you, I mean, even if someone else is not practicing self-control, it's up to you, okay? Because once again, you don't know what situation you're getting into, and it could be a potentially dangerous situation, okay? So use I language, like how you were saying, how we were saying. Okay, I'm sorry you're feeling this way, but, you know, like how the person last night I was speaking to was telling me that a lot of times I have to say, okay, well, I'm sorry, but me putting this, they install meters. Me putting this meter here is government mandated. I'm sorry, but I have to do this, right? Okay? All right, so use I language, remember that. Behave in a peaceful way, okay? Behaving in a peaceful way means you're not posing a threat to anyone, okay? In addition to keeping your hands and feet to yourself, peaceful behavior includes not throwing anything. If we've ever gotten to an argument where we start throwing stuff, I mean, could occur. You know, it means that you're not throwing anything, knocking anything over, okay? Just like if somebody can be in a fight and, you know, it occurs, Jessica. Don't look at me like that.
What about slamming doors?
Slamming doors, yes. I was just about to say that. Slamming doors. Okay, yeah. Slamming doors. You're probably thinking like, oh, I don't do that.
Yeah. I don't want to break that. I'm not mad.
But I mean, sometimes when we're in that zone, that hot zone, I mean, we're not really thinking. Well, we're thinking, right? But we're just letting it get out of control. Okay? All right. So, by behaving in a violent way,